Well, good morning, folks. Well, I'm here on the coast, on the south coast of Ireland, in County Cork, East Cork. Yes, another cliff walk. Now it's only 3 degrees and there's a great wind chill factor blowing in there from the ocean. But it's bitterly cold, very, very cold. So I invite you to join me and let's take on this cliff walk together. Okay? Cold, but invigorating. Now, looking out there towards Ballycotton Lighthouse, the famous Ballycotton Lighthouse, before I commence my walk, the sun has shone to greet me. So folks, early morning, 3 degrees, I kid you not, 3 degrees Celsius. I'm wrapped up, and come along with me and let's do this Ballycotton cliff walk together. This is my second of the cliff walks. I brought you along on the Knockadoon walk, the Knockadoon cliff walk last week. So this is the Ballycotton cliff walk. Spectacular sun rays emitting from the sky towards the ocean surface there to my left in front of you. This Ballycotton cliff walk can be rather very busy at weekends and during really fine weather. It can also be rather difficult after wet weather because it's sort of an unmaintained cliff walk and it gets very muddy, very mucky. There's a little bit of vegetation cut back on the sides, but mostly it's a primitive path, but very popular. Ballycotton Cliff Walk is the hidden gem of East Cork. It is located near a small picturesque village which sits on a rocky ledge overlooking Ballycotton Bay and is surrounded by sandy beaches. You can gain stunning views of Ballycotton Lighthouse, one of only 2 black lighthouses in Ireland, which was painted black in 1902 to distinguish it from the beacon at Capel. This morning's walk is actually the coldest walk that I have been on for quite a few months. Here on the coast, so close to the coast, the waves are crashing in there against the foreshore. But it's that bitter, frosty, cold breeze that makes you feel rather chilly. But the ocean, there's not a sign of a craft out there as far as the horizon. I've reached my walking pace, as I keep telling you, of just over 6.2 kilometers an hour. So hopefully that'll generate enough friction within the skeletal structure to maintain warmth and comfort whilst I do this walk. This is quite a long walk. If you go along the cliff edge here and then you reach the roadway, it's quite a long walk back towards the village of Ballycotton. Pictures today now, folks, will be rather grey and dark, not in any way vibrant, unless the golden orb that's lurking there in the shadows of large clouds break through. But the pathway so far is even it's muddy, but it's It's dry, it's not slushy. But as I said to you earlier, it becomes quite frequented in good sunny days. Everybody seems to come out and walk this pathway, and it gets quite congested. Get it right, Jim. This cliff walk, the Ballycotton cliff walk, is not wheelchair friendly. By no means is it friendly. It's rather turbulent and rocky on the foot, and some of the gorse projects out onto the path from the left and the right. So even with a good all-terrain wheelchair, this would be quite an arduous journey. So I don't and won't recommend bringing a wheelchair along here. In fact, bringing a mountain bike along here wouldn't be a good idea either. Its path is rather narrow. In fact, it's quite narrow, but it's basically unmaintained. Now, for those of you that may from time to time would like to partake in a sitting down session, there are a few seats here and there. They're sporadic, but they are here. But in the summer months, this is a spectacular walk. You can see what I mean about not being wheelchair friendly. This is about 2 feet wide here. There's no hope in hell of getting a wheelchair through there. It's then largely unprotected, as you can see there to my left as I walk in this direction. And the ocean this morning is quite churned up. There's a rather stiff breeze blowing in here. So here now you've got no protection whatsoever from the elements. Here on my right, you've got fields, agricultural land, pasture land, whatever. And to my left, you've got the ocean. So you're really walking along the perimeter of private lands. For goodness sake, stay within the pathway. Baroque Colleen of Belfast, erected in memory of Captain Bartlett and 9 of his crew, who died on the 8th of January 1894, when the sailing ship Colleen, owned by W.M. Barclay of Belfast, foundered here on Smith's Rock, Ballycotton. Dedicated here by John Barclay in 2014. This is not the only location that a ship foundered off the East Cork coast. In more recent times, a ghost ship became washed up a few miles up the headland here, and I'll try and show you that from the air. Now it's quite windy, and I have the small bird in the backpack, and if I can fly it, I'll try and fly it over the wreck, which still lay on the rocks, having foundered up here. Nobody apparently laid claim to the wreck, so it's left to the elements and the salt water, wind, rain, etc., to disintegrate and become nothing in time. Now, you can imagine bringing your wheelchair and having succeeded to get it to this point. What would you do if you got to here? It's bitterly cold. even at and maintaining the walking pace that I'm now at and haven't achieved, it's bitterly cold. First week of spring, winter still holds on. Once again, like most of the walks that I've brought you along and that you have tagged along with me, can become quite arduous in your progression through the countryside. As you can see here, the vegetation now converges left and right into this pathway. Now here you can see the pathway has been blocked off because of erosion, so we have to get ourselves into the fields. So now, having left the pathway which hugs the coastal line there, you're directed on here to pasture land, and it looks like a permanent deviation. For goodness sake, take the advice of whatever signage and safety postings and rails and fences are up there. Just take the advice and follow. It's not worth taking that special picture if you put yourself at risk. Believe me, it's not. I've now taken you down here to a little cove, which normally at low tide you can walk out a little bit there on the sandy and rocky foreshore. This morning there's a furious tide belting in, driven by that easterly wind, so there's no walking down there today. So these are all the little places that you can come in the summer and on good weather and indulge in your picnic. We got all these little mini waterfalls cascading down towards the rocky foreshore. Whilst a rather agitated and furious ocean tries to lay claim to the Emerald Isle. The walk continues, so I have to make my way back up here now to the defined pathway and continue on my merry way. When you're walking on steps like I've just come down here, with water cascading down behind you and in front of you, they're so covered in slimy lichen. Be very careful coming down here to the little waterfall. Probably worth taking the shot, but one needs to be awfully careful. It's quite slippy on the foot now. There is a variation of trail surface here. It's by no means level, and there are quite a few steps along the way. The pathway can be quite muddy, very, very narrow. Vegetation impinging on the path from left and right. So be aware, but I thoroughly recommend this walk. if you look at this fence line here, it's right on the very edge of a huge subsidence washaway cliff. The stakes are actually ready to fall into the ocean, and the wire is hanging precariously. So just don't, in places like this, I know you're not idiots, but people in your charge, like dogs and kids, etc., don't go here to take that photograph and walk right to the fence line, because all that's there is grass and a 30-meter drop to boulders and an angry ocean. For goodness sake, be careful. You don't want to go to the very edge of something like this when you can't see solid ground to put your feet upon. But it's a majestic place. But my goodness, you keep hankering on about the cold. It is bitter. So I'm going to keep on moving. So come on, let's go. You have all these kinds of obstructions between field perimeters that you have to get your way around. Now you can see the pathway can be quite tortuous for those that aren't of a fit ability. So be prepared for this. Good boots, good tires on your feet. You're up for anything. And tell yourself, I'm able to do this, and I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm going to take care, and I'm going to go home and feel refreshed, feel happy, be fulfilled with that great sense of achievement that you get when you take on a long walk like this. If you're not of a fit state of mind and body, it can be a long walk. And if you do the absolute total loop, then you're really talking about a long walk. Now today, grey, turbulent, angry skies, a churned up Atlantic Ocean, white caps on the waves out to sea. Along this stretch, you don't have any shelter whatsoever, especially if the winds are prevailing from the southeast, which they are today, this morning. It truly is magic to be able to get oneself out here in the mornings on walks like this and hear the ocean crashing here on the foreshore and listening to nature. I keep telling you about the benefits of indulging your passion for the great outdoors as much and as often as possible. The benefits are immense. And now, as I try and get myself across here, which is very, very good. Oh my God. Oh, sugar. Bog, bog, bog and bog. But there are many who walk and scale cliffs and they do it on their own. And the path makes a deviation here away from the bog, so we go up into the gorse. But I think everybody should spend a little time every week or every day, if that can be achieved in your personal life, and get yourself out into the great outdoors and savor the delights of nature. You don't need invitations. You just put the boots on, don the coats and the jackets, put your mind in first gear, and move up the gears as you go along your pathway of life in the great outdoors. When I stand here momentarily and look out at this turbulent ocean and tortured skyline, you think that there's the mother and father of a storm and rain about to fall on my poor head, but I don't think so. But if it does, I'm prepared for that. But listening to that crashing ocean there is very soothing and very relaxing. But I must say this to you all: it's bitterly cold. Cold or not, I'm going to maintain my progression. And looking down here now, where there's a rather unprotected high cliff edge, with the ocean boiling beneath me to my left, I have no wish to end up in the drink down there in cold weather. So mind your footing, folks. We lose enough people every year in the great outdoors for one reason or another. But I'm sure a significant amount of people succumb to chasing down that rather elusive and spectacular photograph or video. Think twice about that, carry on, and enjoy your walk in safety. And with all the advice that I've been giving you, fall number 1 became a reality for me a few moments ago on a not so breezy path. But I stepped on the lip of a path, and even with great tires underfoot, I still ended up on my posterior on the ground. In October 2018, the MV Alta was on a voyage from Greece to Haiti. Such a long trip is unusual for a ship of this size, which typically stays closer to shorelines. The ship's engines failed in the Atlantic Ocean, leaving the crew stranded. The United States Coast Guard rescued the crew about 2,200 miles southeast of Bermuda, and the ship was abandoned. After her abandonment, the ship's next moves are uncertain. An unverified report suggests that she was towed to Guyana and possibly hijacked, only to be abandoned a second time. Regardless of what happened, this ghost ship was next sighted by HMS Protector in August or September 2019 near Bermuda. After this sighting, she likely continued to drift at very low speeds before eventually arriving in Ireland. On the 16th of February 2020, the Alta ran aground on the Irish coast here near Ballycotton amid Storm Dennis. The rare story of a modern-day ghost ship, as well as the length of time it spent floating without a crew or captain at sea, 18 months in total, caught the global's public imagination and curiosity. And you think it was cold coming along the path with shelter, but when you get your backside up onto this hillock, I can tell you something. It's freezing. with no gloves and no big woolly jacket on. And here you have a hardy cracker that's up for all this madness and wild weather walking. Yes, wild weather walking. You heard me correct. Not fair weather walking. I do that as well. I do partake in that as well. But my goodness, right now, and I'm here laying claim to my kingdom, a solitary chieftain. My kingdom stretches out before me. Now I have a bit to go yet before I run out of the cliff path, and then make my way, hopefully, to the wreck. Now I have to go across some rather arduous terrain to get over there. The responsibility of the wreck fell to the Irish Minister for the Marine, as per the Salvage and Wreck Act 1993, until such time as a receiver of wreck be appointed. Despite efforts to determine the ownership of the ship, so that the Irish state can try to recover costs incurred, as of December 2020, ownership had not been established. Most of the time when I am out and about, regardless of territory that I walk in, I feel so privileged to be able to come out and enjoy this. And I say to you all, and I probably say this too often to you all, consider enjoying the great outdoors. You don't have to travel very far from our humble abodes in this country of ours, the great Irish countryside, to enjoy and indulge in an outdoor pursuit. And whatever that pursuit is for you, enjoy it. This life can be so short. This is the ingredient, the great outdoors, to make the best of what we have here. Try it. Please try it. Now, I must get myself down off this hill before I'm blown away. If you remember back a few months ago, well, not too long into the month of November last year, I kept referring to one island, offshore island, that's evaded me during the summer and autumn months. And because of storms and difficult weather and ferries and boats not sailing, I put it on hold. I put it on hold as I hold on here to a fence post. But hopefully within 3 weeks I can fulfill the final island off the south coast of Ireland. I've done them all up to now. I'll be making contact with a little boat operator shortly and making my way across to that final island. I love island trekking. Oh my goodness, do I what? I love island trekking. The adventure on the boat getting there, the peace, serenity and quietness, the scenery, the ruggedness, the atmosphere, the wildlife, nature. Just get it all in one big bag on an offshore island. The ship's commercial scrap value is low. The cost to the Irish exchequer of removing the wreck could exceed 10 million euros. The Alta had previously been the subject of an ownership dispute with claims that she was once hijacked and towed to Guyana. But efforts have been made to establish where she was last registered. Some reports suggest the ship was sailing under a Panamanian flag when her crew were rescued, and she was abandoned in October 2018. while other reports suggest that she was registered in Tanzania. 62 full barrels of oil were ultimately removed from the wreck by helicopter. Afterwards, the ship was sealed off and made inaccessible. By October 2020, the wreckage had deteriorated to the point that Cork County Council feared that the ship would break apart. The county has requested assistance from other departments of the Irish government in removing the ship. Options including scrapping her, towing her out to sea and scuttling her were considered. However, by early 2022, the hull of the Alta had split in two following a series of storms. A report announced by the Department of Transport and Cork County Council in February 2023 on how to proceed with the Alta concluded that the risk to the general public has been reduced to medium following mitigation efforts by the authorities, and risk to the environment was at acceptable levels. Just wanted to let you know that fall number 2 happened again on a slippery slope of pathway. The boots failed to react to the muddy surface, and I was sitting on my backside before I realized. But here I am, from the horizontal to the perpendicular, and my trek continues. For the last 25 minutes, as I come nearer to the end of the cliff walk section, before I start walking on the roads, the path is in a deplorable condition. So here at this stile behind me is the end of the cliff walk section. Now from this little village on, you're on a public road. Now when you come off the Ballycotton cliff walk, you eventually reach the public road here, and the little villages and the beach is Ballyandreen. The power of nature is indeed impressive. And as I make a statement here about the power of nature, the sun begins to shine over my right shoulder. There's an ominous looking sky off there in front of me from the direction that I came. So I think I better get my backside on the road again. The sea is very, very nasty and angry this morning. So folks, I now leave Ballyandreen Beach and its environs, and I make my way up the little road and continue the big loop. Well, as I said I would do, I tried and failed. But being honest, I did go up the private road to 2 houses, not just one. 2 houses, and knocked on separate doors and nobody at home. So I continued a little bit further, and in a smaller house there was a lady with a dog, and I asked who owned the land so that I could traverse out to the wreck, and she said that people down the road. And I said, would it be okay if I were to walk up there and take a video? And she said, to be honest with you, boy, we've had many problems here with cars being parked across gates and damage to gates and fence posts, and I'd prefer if you didn't. But you make your own mind up. So after hearing all that carry on, I made the decision, me being the honourable guy that I am. So I've left the opportunity or the possibility of going out to the wreck. I reckon within 10 minutes of coming off the cliff pathway and getting on to Ballycotton Road, having left the beach area, the sun came out and it still continues to shine. So on my merry trek on the little roads back to Ballycotton, I'll have sunshine on my pate. Now walking along there, I do notice that the fields and the pasture land are void of livestock. And checking back there at the last farmyard, most of the stock are still wintering within the great big winter sheds. But it's only 4 degrees. I'm very close to the coast, but that wind chill factor is keeping the chilly atmosphere at its present level. I introduced you to one of these public water pumps on my last Knockadoon walk. This one is intact. Unfortunately, right around the country, most of these have been nicked by people in the middle of the night. And they're the part of the fabric of Irish society. And wells were a long ways away and down through mucky fields and woods. This was put in to help people acquire buckets of water for domestic use. I reckon the only reason that this particular pump hasn't been nicked in the middle of the night by somebody is because it's embedded into a large concrete base plinth, and you'd make a lot of noise chiseling that out to get access to the securing bolts on the platform here. A piece of Irish infrastructure, a very important piece of Irish infrastructure from a very distant past. Quite a significant amount of the cast iron old Irish road signs have been stolen over many years and now adorn the walls of many Irish themed pubs in Ireland, in the UK and right around the world. I've even seen some Irish road signs in Australia from time to time. The humble Irish cottage is just a figment of our imagination now. There are palatial mansions being built and haven't been built. Places of grand structures surrounded by gates of grandeur. The wealthy Irish people at last embraced size. I suppose size matters when it comes to the size of your home. Do you think so? Size matters. Well, after a long trek on hill, cliff, field and road, I've arrived in Ballycotton village. And I kid you not, this has been the coldest walk of my life. Oh my goodness, it's been vicious. This place in Ballycotton village is known as the Cow. Well, in Ballycotton village, I've deviated once again from the chosen path. And this area here is called the Cow. The cow as a four-legged agricultural creature. And the cold here is just undescribable. Believe me. So I'm getting my bum out of here now. Now my walk continues because I need to get through Ballycotton village and get over near the pier and get up the hill to my car. This is the Catholic Church in Ballycotton village, the Star of the Sea Church. The shop and cafe no longer open for business. I'm nearly at my destination. Yeah, nearly, but not yet. I'm here overlooking the breakwater, and there's a furious ocean laying claim to the breakwater today. It's very, very cold again. Sorry, it's very, very cold, and there's a sprinkling of some sort of sleety rain now dropping on my poor pate. But this is the breakwater and Ballycotton Harbour with the iconic Ballycotton lighthouse in the centre of your picture. Ballycotton Lighthouse is an active 19th century lighthouse positioned on Ballycotton Island. Distinctively, it is one of only a handful of lighthouses in the world painted black, which was chosen to distinguish it from Capel Island's unlit beacon. Capel Island is where the lighthouse was initially to be located, but ultimately a decision was made to build a lighthouse on Ballycotton Island. The lighthouse was built in response to a number of sinkings in the area, most notably that of the SS Sirius in January 1847. The cost of the lighthouse was estimated in 1849 to be £10,000. Well, I've arrived here at the Mary Stanford, which is the old Ballycotton lifeboat. It's now here on a plinth overlooking the ocean, here at near the beginning of the cliff walk. It's a proud-looking vessel, and now taking its well-deserved rest. So I've been out 3 hours and 50 minutes, and I haven't sat down once. Believe me, not once. So as I arrive at the destination and the departure point of earlier this morning for the cliff walk, I've circumnavigated the cliff walk. It's a big amount of steps, a huge amount of steps. The weather stayed cold, sunshine sporadic, but nevertheless I thoroughly enjoyed this walk, and I would recommend this walk to those of you that have ability. It's not an easy walk in the park walk, believe me. There's a lot of hurdles and things to overcome, and the pathway can be boggy. Even today in the dry, it's boggy. So folks, thank you for tagging along with me once again, and I appreciate your comments, your likes, your shares. Thank you. So until the next walk in the great outdoors in the Emerald Isle, thank you. Have a good day. Take care of each other. God bless you all. Okay, bye-bye for now.